very much, Rocky. My fellow citizens and residents of our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis, a pleasant evening to you. Let me thank all of you for joining us again tonight for another edition of Leadership Matters. Leadership Matters continues to be the most comprehensive, interactive discussion, not only on the performance of your government, but also on the results and impact of policies and programs. Your feedback is invaluable to the development of policies with efficacious outcomes. This is why I endeavor to make myself available for each episode. Over the last week, you may have noticed there has been an increased focus on the role and status of women as the world commemorated International Women's Day. From recognition and awards in agriculture, to communications, to business, to public service. This, of course, is not coincidental. Indeed, as you have heard from our moderator, every year on March 8th, the world celebrates International Women's Day. For more than a century, this day has been set aside to recognize and celebrate, individually and collectively, achievements of women. It is also a call to action to close the gaps and imbalances that still persist in some areas. Gender equality means that regardless of gender, one is granted the same rights, privileges, and access to opportunities as everyone else. One may question, why is such a day necessary? And we would find the answer perhaps in history, which tells us that about 150 years ago, in most of the world, women could not vote, let alone stand for parliament. They could not own property, nor would they get the same pay for equal work. Women were denied a proper education and were even excluded from certain public areas. 150 years ago, our forebears lived in a very different world and a very different St. Kitts and Nevis to the one we now know and enjoy. Change, though it may seem sweeping today, was slow in coming. It was through the brave and tireless efforts of women, and indeed men, here in St. Kitts and Nevis and around the world, who chose to empower women, that gradual change came. Through advocacy, unionizations, petitions, marches, and demonstrations, steady progress was made over the years, from gaining rights as an individual, to gaining the right to vote, to accessing the political sphere and certain jobs and professions, to advancing closer to equal pay for equal work. International Women's Day is a global day of celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women and their contributions to the world and indeed to human development. As we celebrate under tonight's theme, Empowering Women as we power up our future, we reflect that here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have a rich and storied history on the advancement of women, women's rights, and gender equality. Indeed, consistent with so many other positive international developmental indicators, St. Kitts and Nevis has been and continues to be a leader in this regard. We have some of the highest per capita numbers of women in government and politics, justice, legal and medical professions, professional sports, business, industry and entrepreneurship, journalism, education, and entertainment and culture. The roles played and the contributions made by women in our St. Kitts and Nevis is irremovable from our place as the best manning small island state anywhere in the world, and one of the best places to live on this planet. Our housing minister, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, who is also the Minister of Gender Affairs, may remind us that St. Kitts and Nevis has one of the highest female home ownership anywhere in the world. And indeed, the uptake and recipients of and from the National Housing Corporation are largely women. In our current economic model, home ownership is one of the greatest empowerment for anyone. This reality of a majority of our women folk owning homes is testament to our administration empowering women as we power up our future. Having only gained political independence in 1983, we are a relatively new nation. However, St. Kitts and Nevis set a very high standard from the onset with regard to the advancement of women, with the election of Dame Constance Viola Mitchum to our national parliament way back in 1984. She was the first woman elected to our National Assembly. It has been common practice in St. Kitts and Nevis to have women not just involved but leading at the highest levels in all areas of our national development. Even tonight, we see this reflected. And of course, tonight we have the program being moderated by a talented woman. Firstly, we had Valencia Grant, now Jacqueline Bryan. 3 of tonight's panelists are women. Mrs. Akila Byron Nisbet is an elected member of Parliament and a Minister of Government. Miss Natalie John is an entrepreneur and board member of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Miss Lynn Bass is a corporate executive and first vice president of the Business and Professional Women. The influence and contributions of our women in society are far-reaching. We can highlight women and the roles and positions they have served or are serving in the greater development of our nation. We can mention just a few at the top levels of excellence and achievement in various socio-economic disciplines. I want to mention Mrs. Josephine Huggins, our Cabinet Secretary, Mrs. Hilary Hazel, our Financial Secretary, who successfully led the ministry through the turbulence of the COVID-19 pandemic over the last 2 years. The Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, a Member of Parliament for Constituency number 3, and of course our Minister of Health. Miss Idris Lewis, designer of our national flag. The Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, Junior Minister in the Nevis Island Administration. I must also mention the Honorable Wendy Phipps, our Senator and Minister of Labor, just to name a few. To all the women who have contributed and are contributing to our nation's progress, allow me on behalf of our grateful nation to express our profound gratitude to you from the bottom of my heart. May Almighty God bless our women with continued favor, and may He continue to bless our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister, for getting the